So now I'm really happy that we're going to be talking to Chris Cerrone. Chris, how are
Hi,
you?
I'm I'm great. I mean, I'm COVID great. Like Wade for COVID. I'm really good.
Yeah. Thank you for being so positive. Where are you right now?
I'm in Brooklyn. I'm in Flatbush area of Brooklyn where I've lived for the last few years. Pretty close to much of the Bang on the Can staff. I think Kenny lives down the street, and so does Tim. So, uh, feeling the warmth of that. And yeah, I've been here this whole time. My partner Carrie and I have just been. She's a writer. I'm a composer. So she went to her cubby. I went to my cubby, and we've just been trying to pretend the world is not the way it is.
Well, you're lucky to have an apartment that has two cubbies.
It's
And
true.
it has two bicycles.
It
So
does.
Yeah.
And
it's the way to travel in New York right now.
well, when my most recent piece that wasn't the one you're about to hear, I was pumping the tires, and it was like they're like sound, and she comes out and she's like, "Oh, I thought you were composing a piece. It sounds like your music." And so I put it in the piece, and then the bike pump was the star of the composition.
Nice. Happy accidents.
Exactly.
If you have found a bike pump virtuoso, um,
The members of Sandbox Percussion are profoundly good at bike pump. They went through a lot of pumps, you know.
yeah. So you want to tell us something about your piece? We're only going to be hearing an excerpt from it, right? So
Yes, it's like a 17-minute piece. It's called Liminal Highway. It's for flute and electronics, live electronics, and it was commissioned by Tim Munro, who will play it today. He is a really dear friend of mine, in addition to being a fantastic musician, and he was at the time when he commissioned it, he was a member of Eighth Blackbird, and I'd written about half of my piece for them. And he's like, "Oh, I love this. Can I have a piece?" And I was like, "Well, I should finish the piece first before you decide." So yeah, it was. I wrote it actually when I was living in Rome about 4 years ago at the American Academy in Rome, and the way I wrote it was that I basically bought a cheap flute off Amazon for about $60, and Tim gave me a flute lesson so I can play, a scale. And basically I spent, the time tinkering with the piece. And one of the things I know David's been there at least is that there's these incredibly resonant spots in the building that I would play the flute and it would have like a 10 or 20 second reverb. So I was deeply inspired when I was writing the piece to sort of integrate different kinds of reverbs, and at the very end of the piece you'll hear what is a 90-second reverb, which is a sample of an oil tanker in like Scotland, which is the longest natural reverb in the world.
Wow.
And so that was one of the things I was really inspired by. The other thing was just sort of literally by messing around with the instrument. Well, a funny thing about a cheap flute is that they make very loud key clicks. And expensive flutes like Tim has do not, because they're designed to not be noisy, because the composers didn't design the flute. So then we had to figure out a way, and you'll see is that he basically plays the key clicks of the flute directly into the mouthpiece of the microphone, and it creates kind of percussive sound that, it sort of dominates the entire second movement. So I, 20 years of flute training, and then please play these key clicks for
That microphone.
Chris,
exactly.
great to have you on the show.
Nice to see you all.
Great to chat with you.
Forward to peace.
Absolutely.
I'm used to seeing you somehow like almost every day of the year at some concert or another. And so, it's been a wasteland the last 6 months.
I know, Michael, it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. It is hard. Your video, by the way, that Tim made, or you made with Tim, of this piece is really, really beautiful. So anyone who's watching should definitely check that out as well.
Great. Thanks, guys.